Southampton won, Spurs won, Janusz, Michallik, but there are many more stories hidden behind that scoreline. First things first, a point for Southampton seemed unlikely, playing the entire second half with 10 men. And for Spurs, Antonio Conte's unbeaten run in the Premier League continues, but he would have loved all 3 points. Did you enjoy the game?
Yes, I did, and there indeed were many stories in this one. Mark, we'll get to them shortly. I even have one about Brian Hill, because one of my friends on Twitter has said that he looks like a young Ringo Starr, which I got a chuckle out of it. But let's move on. I surprised you with that one. Look, I mean, really enjoyed it. Really good game. And yes, when I saw the sending off, I thought it was going to be one of those games where Saints would just sit back, and at times they did because they had to. But towards the end, Armando Broja, I should say, really had a chance as well. So very interesting, and so many talking points.
Right, let's get to them. No doubt about the sending off. They got that one right, didn't they? Because Salisu got booked after, 27 minutes? A second yellow for bringing down Son for the penalty. A second yellow meant a red. No complaints there with the yellow or the penalty?
No, but just the bottom line in this one was, it just incredible to me how 1 second, one decision can change the halftime talk in the entire match, right? Because let's be fair, the Saints were value for money in terms of their lead.
Mm-hmm.
Ward-Prowse, again, I mean, just a wonderful strike, slicing away from the goalkeeper. And we know he's capable of that. Still underrated, I think, because he's so consistent and so good. And I thought the Saints took momentum from that win against West Ham. I think it's easy to say that they matched the system of Antonio Conte. They matched and exceeded, I think, the intensity of which you need to have when you play against Antonio Conte's teams as well. And they were leading there. And of course, you have a decision from Mohamed Salisu in the end. No complaints whatsoever, but that certainly changed the game.
It was an excellent opener from James Ward-Prowse, and the captain really leading by example. And the intensity from Southampton in the early stages was excellent. And when they did take the lead after, 25 minutes, I thought they thoroughly deserved that. And you know what? As you mentioned, after that win at West Ham, it looked like they really were going to turn their season around. Then Salisu happened, and Harry Kane, who, what's that now, 3-3, he's flying, nearly a fourth in the second half in his last 3, but that was disallowed for offside. Now, this is where we start talking about technology, and then they tweak the kind of ways that they deal with the offside. There are some people that say, it looked too close to call. Offside isn't subjective, it's objective. He either is or he isn't. But what happened to potentially giving the attacker the benefit of the doubt here? Because of the new kind of law, the tweak of the law, and it's now down here as opposed to kind of up here, Harry Kane is offside because of that. What's your whole interpretation of the way that the offside is dealt with by VAR? And could it be tidied up to avoid all this frustration from not just Spurs fans, but from football fans in general?
I thought we were done with these marginal calls on the offside, right? I mean, the benefit of the doubt, in a way, yes, the bottom of the sleeve. Look, why do we blindly trust technology? I mean, we see it every day. That's not always right. It's not always right. And this, I mean, I don't know where they started drawing these lines, but it's impossible. I don't know if it gets any closer than that, and have to change it. And I thought we did. I thought we're going to kind of look at situations like this where it's impossible to say, because it is, and I don't trust it. It's not that I'm being cynical. I mean, it's so close. Yannick probably is the only one that's somewhat happy about it, because, I mean, he's looking across the line. I mean, it's, clearly he could have taken a step. He didn't. He got lucky, and so did the Saints. Look, for me, Spurs were denied 2 perfectly good goals in this match, and maybe it ended in a fair result because Saints did play well and they did survive the entire second half and did pose some threats to Spurs as well. So I want to give him credit. And 1-1, I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with the technology because I'm not going to blindly trust it.
This is when they talk about, was there daylight between the 2 lines that were drawn? And for anybody saying, they look close, look, the lines that are used by VAR, and this is why we kind of need to educate as well. the lines that are actually used by VAR are the thinnest of the thin. They're millimeters wide. They have to accentuate the look of the lines on TV so they can make it clear that he's either on or he's offside. And in this instance, there is a tiny little bit of a gap. But again, it's to do with thickness of lines that are drawn.
No,
it's also, Janusz, it's also down to the fact that someone, a human, has to decide when the ball was released for the ball through. So yes, VAR can be frustrating, but there has to be an element of human error in this as well, because a frame either way could mean the difference between onside and offside. I'm getting frustrated by this whole VAR thing, and it's so annoying.
If you put everybody in the room, they will tell you, even Southampton players and everybody else, because it's going to happen to them sooner or later. It has happened probably already. When it's impossible to tell, the benefit of the doubt has to go towards the attacking player. That's what the law was intended for when, before VR came in, right? Even is on. And I think, it's hard. So, I mean, look, we can be, sitting here and discuss this until the cows come home. But for me, it's just a crazy decision. And I thought that this season we were going to do this. And when it's marginal like this, when it's so close, it's going to go their way. And then we get to Fraser Forster, another one.
Yeah. Okay, well, right. Let's talk about that, because I mean, you and I have worked with Shaka Hislop for long enough now. They have their own union. They're a protected species as well. Tell me what Matt Doherty's done wrong challenging Fraser Forster.
Nothing. I mean, Fraser Forster simply dropped the ball. We can get to the protection of the goalkeeper. Look, the presidents aren't protected as much as. I mean, it's simple as that. What is it going to take? You already have an advantage of the fact that you can use your hands and go up for it. And here, I didn't see it. I didn't see him being in control of the ball in any way. He drops it and puts it in himself. I mean, it's, again, a perfectly good goal. And that's where, when you look at that, somebody's got to say, you know what? Yeah, there are times to be protected because they're vulnerable sometimes, goalkeepers. And when they go up for the ball, right, even with their hands, somebody can come underneath them, undercut them. And I get it. There are decisions that should go their way. And maybe you got to protect them in some ways. But not in this instance. I didn't see anything wrong. In fact, I see a goalkeeper making a mistake and not getting what I think is a simple ball.
This isn't a case of us picking sides. We're not Southampton or Spurs fans. We're just frustrated. And what we have here in this discussion, Janusz, is subjectivity and objectivity. The objectivity is the offside. You could argue, look, he's either offside or he's onside. And in that case, he was offside. Okay, then we can argue about the minutiae. That's for another day. This is subjective. I think some referees say, you know what, that's okay. And they allow the goal. But this referee doesn't. This is the issue that we have. And it's one of these from a Southampton perspective, you take it and you're happy with it. But from a Spurs perspective, it ends with a point, but it could easily have been 3. And what do you do? What can you do?
Yeah, and look, we've gone through what we think about the decisions. I'm sure somebody's going to come against us and our thought process here. But at the end of the day, I think both sides will take the point gladly, right? If you look at Spurs, you say to yourself, well, yeah, we've dropped a place in the standings here, but it was always going to be difficult when you go away like this, right? Antonio Conte continues to show that he's making inroads with his team. That's 5 wins and 3 draws right now. They still have a couple games in hand, right, on these teams. So I don't think it's the end. And for the Saints, it looked great until the sending off, and they have to say to themselves, we've not only survived, but we gave Spurs some problems. So I think a point here with or without the decisions is just.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.